Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I'm Kay Stone coming to you from the Fraternally Yours YouTube channel. Finally decided to get one. Me and my friend were poets, so we wanted to make sure we had a place to put performances and opinions and blogs and all that good stuff that everybody's doing nowadays. So this will probably be like the first video on here. And the subject that sparked this video, like I had to get up out of bed. I watched this video that was on Facebook. It was in my mini feed, and it was called "No Hetero Disrupting the Hegemony." And I have long been a proponent um, for gay civil rights and for the gay community because I feel like at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we all need to be respected as such. But it was very interesting. A lot of the things that were said in the video, they got opinions from almost every side of the spectrum. Opinions from lesbian women, heterosexual men, heterosexual women, transgender gentlemen, professors, pastors, and everybody else. And one of the first comments in the video that kind of stirred me in my heart and in my spirit was a young gentleman. I assume he was a Morehouse man. I think he was. I had to watch the video again, but he was what looked to be a forum or a panel. You know how schools have like the forums and panels, whatever. Everybody gets together and talks about stuff, but don't do anything about it. Um, he said that I didn't know that when I got to Morehouse that half of the population was going to want to be females, and he got a couple boos for it, and I couldn't even be mad with him because that was his opinion, and he's entitled to that. But what I thought was interesting was people have especially nowadays, and especially in the black community, have a tendency to have to make logic of their arguments utilizing insults, which is stupid in and of itself because me being a policy debater, and if you want to know what that is, look it up, I don't have time to explain it, but me being a policy debater in middle school and high school, I understand that there's a way to make logic of just about any notion, whether it be moral or immoral. But there's a way to speak about things without having to insult a group of people or insult, a particular ideology. And still make your point and almost make it valid sometimes. So the fact that he had to insult people, I was just like, that's kind of extra or whatever. And that kind of plays into sort of the Christian bias, especially in the black community, because we have a tendency to utilize the church, which has been a very strong platform and base for our community, but it's also sometimes been to our detriment because it sometimes pushes out the ability to intellectualize and be able to utilize critical thinking. But like that's another video for another day too. But it was very interesting, him having to insult, his fellow Morehouse brothers, as they should be, because I know y'all sauntered on y'all orientation, all that good stuff. I live in Atlanta, so I know all about the AUC and the things that y'all have to go through when y'all get there. So the fact that you insulted some of your fellow brethren, you spending time, insulting people and trying to make a mockery of their lifestyle and the things that they do. Wow, you could have been worrying about, especially back in 2007, you could have been worried about a presidential debate and who was going to be the next leader of the free world. But that's neither here nor there. Another thing that they talked about, hold on a second, how much time do I have left? 6 minutes, cool. Another thing that one of the young ladies talked about is how, she does happen to dress what is considered to be masculine. And she was walking on campus one day and she actually got stopped by campus police. And it was like, excuse me, young man, what are you doing here? And I think that it's very interesting that even now today, with all the different styles and trends that we have, that we're still having these gender socialization issues. People should be able to dress how they want to, regardless of what their sexuality or their race or whatever the case may be. Now, I understand that there are certain ways that you have to do things in order to get into certain realms, but that's the corporate world and all that other good stuff, which is again another video for another day. And they had a really wonderful lecturer and book author named Bell Hooks. She made a very good point that we have a tendency, especially people in the heterosexual community that are even supporters of the gay community, we always want to yell out, "Yes, I support gay rights and I support the gay community, but I'm straight." Which it then almost kind of messes up our argument because we want to make sure that even though we're for them, we want to make sure that everybody knows, oh, but I'm straight though. I don't have to deal with this problem. I don't have to, cry at night because my mother, called me a faggot. I don't have to worry about fearing for my life when I walk outside my house. I don't have to worry about trying to find places of worship to go to where people will accept me. I don't have to worry about people calling me all kind of backwards names and trying my manhood or my womanhood in public and thinking that it's okay. You know, I don't have to worry about that. And so I think that's an issue that especially us heterosexuals need to deal with, that if you are a supporter, and even if you aren't a supporter, you know, if you're going to have an opinion, but have a respectful opinion, because just like we didn't choose to be black, I don't think most of these people chose to be gay. Now, the definition or the starts or wherever gay started or whatever, you know, all that different argument about whether it's genetic or whether you choose to be gay and all that stuff, that's none of my business. I don't really care how it became. The point is that it is. I don't care how black people became black. The point is that we're black and that we've had to suffer for a very long time because of it. So why take something that we've had to deal with for I don't know how many generations and then put it on our fellow people in a time where ignorance is no longer bliss? You know what I'm saying? We live in a place where you have access to all kinds of information, all kinds of people. If anything, you need to be embracing other people's cultures, not even just for being black, but just for being American, because we have a tendency to be those people that's like, you know, the ones that always say, if you don't speak English, I don't want to hear it. Or what is this nonsense that you're eating? We don't, you know, people in other countries speak 3 and 4 and 5 languages. And we're not, you know, we want to call ourselves culture, but we won't even take the time to make ourselves more worldly and learn about the things that are around us in our environment. There's a lot more in this world other than a 4-block radius or your state or even your country or even the universe in general. Another video for another day. That's about to be one of my favorite phrases. I probably won't hear that a lot on here, but I thought that it was very interesting. I think that some of the problems that are faced by some of the gay students, particularly in the AU Center, is very saddening, especially when they even spoke about the issue of DL men and how one particular young lady, she didn't necessarily agree with it, but she gave a logical reason for it. And I can understand, you know, if you're being chastised and ostracized for who you are, you would keep it to yourself. But I personally, as a person who has seen what AIDS does to people, has seen, you know, what untruthful relationships have done to people, and this is for male and females, because I'm pretty sure there's some females on the DL as well. Being DL is not cool. Like, you really do need to try as best you can to be honest with yourself. And if you are not at a point in your life where you can be open with your sexuality, then you probably don't need to be sexual at all. You need to abstain until you get to a point where you can mentally deal with what's going to happen when people find out what you are. And also put yourself around people that will accept you for who you are. If you are constantly trying to be accepted by the opposition, you will never have a chance to grow within yourself and grow within your community, because you've got to be sane. You've got to have your right mind in order to be able to convince people to accept you. Because if you come out with, you know, that whole DL thing, it's not cool. I had to deal with that almost my entire life because I lost my mother to AIDS. And it was not pretty. And that was back when, you know, a lot of these drugs that they had to take, it was like these huge pill cocktails and stuff like that. It was not cute. And the reason why she had HIV, and this is not to like discredit my brothers or anything like that, but this is what happened. These are the facts. She had a best friend in high school. Wonderful guy, cool. He was like a godfather to me. But he was closeted because of a society that would not let him be himself. And what did he end up doing? He had sex with my mother in order to prove that he was heterosexual. And what happened? Because of the fact that he was doing all kind of creeping and sneaking, and back then condoms wasn't cool either, just like they clearly aren't cool today because babies are accessories now. But he had to sneak around and had to put on, you know, this front for people. And he ended up having sex with my mother, gave her HIV. I had her maybe for like 4 years after that. She died when I was 9. So that has played for me my entire life. And I think, honestly, and I'm not saying my story is the worst or the best story, but if I can grow up and not be homophobic, I don't think anybody else has an excuse, because I have every reason to. Because technically, my mother was taken away from me by a bisexual man. But at the same time, when you got all these different societal pressures on yourself, and people are not letting you be yourself and letting you grow and letting you spread your wings and letting you be the passionate person that God wants you to be, those are the type of things that happen. So the message for today is, if you can, take the time to get to know people. Take the time to understand what their lives are about. You know, everybody's struggle is different. You know what I'm saying? And I think that if we put a little bit more effort into asking questions, instead of put less effort into making assumptions, we'd be a better place for it. So with that said, gotta go. Time is ticking, and I know YouTube has all these little limits and stuff on how long you can talk. But I hope you all have a blessed day, and I hope to see y'all. And one of my favorite quotes by Tavis Smiley: "Change is inevitable, but growth is optional." And I added my own little piece of that: choose to grow.